How's it going, Diablo players? So, this is my juiced uber unique version of my Frozen Orb Lightning Spear build. So, if you don't have uber uniques yet, or you are rather like a casual gamer, check the link in the video right now on the top. This is the guide for the non-uber version, so just go to the other video. The link is also in the description down below. So now let's get started. So, I don't even need to talk about tormented bosses, I guess. You can see it right now. I don't think I need to talk about Uber Lilith here. I don't think I need to talk about pit bosses here in pit tier 101. We can clear it in like 1 minute, no problem. All we care about right now would be probably Infernal Hordes tier 8, since this is the most efficient farm, and this build is absolutely amazing to farm this. You don't really take damage, you can face tank everything, and the build is really just giga juiced while not requiring any greater affixes on uber unique. So specifically, yes, you will need some greater affixes to get the most potential out of it, but you don't need greater affix on any uber unique. So anyway, I just want to put this uber version out. Make sure to check the planner in the description down below and make sure to choose the tab uber version. So in this build I have a speedrun pit tier 100 run, I have pit 120, and I have Infernal Hordes tier 8 for you at the very end of the video. And without further ado, let's go into the skill tree for the uber version. For the skill tree, I play Firebolt enchantment still, and I max out Frozen Orb into Destructive Frozen Orb. Again, we don't need the Vulnerable, we get that from Lightning Spears. Then I go into 3 Elemental Dominance. Then I put 1 into Teleport, 1 into Enhanced Teleport, 1 into Shimmering Teleport. If you really want to pit farm, take points out somewhere where you don't need it and just max out Teleport, right? Then Frost Nova, Ice Armor into Enhanced Ice Armor and Mystical Ice Armor here just for the extra damage. And also Ice Armor is really our primary barrier layer here we play, so you want to have Ice Armor up all the time, which is not a big deal if you have a decent cooldown reduction. And then 3 into Glass Cannon, 1 Elemental Attunement. I only have 2 into Lucky Hit because I really don't want to spare the point anywhere else. Ice Blades into Summoned Ice Blades for the cooldown reduction. Lightning Spear into Invoked Lightning Spear. Then max out Conjuration Mastery, obviously. 1 Align the Elements, 3 Mana Shield, 3 Protection. Then we go into Devouring Blaze here. And here I changed it up a little bit. So we only go 1 into Permafrost and 1 into Hoarfrost. So this is technically 12% extra cold damage, and this is another 10% extra frost damage. So since we probably, I don't even know how much we gain from Frozen Orbs, but I decided to remove these for more survivability, so I can freely tank Infernal Hordes tier 8 and also stronger pit bosses. I forgot about this. So Static Discharge, I put 2 points in. You can get away with 1, but I feel like I have more uptime on the charge glyph if I put 2 points in here. And then this is the 4 worms we basically get from our tempering on our gear. So this gives a nice 16% heal when you're fighting bosses, which is actually quite significant. Then Unstable Currents into Prime Unstable Currents. Here we get Causing Currents into 3 into Electrocution. This is a nice 18% damage reduction together with the 30% damage reduction from Teleport and the 30% from Mana Shield. We have a very nice passive damage reduction here in our skill tree. And then last but not least, we play Verse Mastery. For our skills, it's pretty much the same as in the other build. We want to spam Lightning Spear as much as possible, so this literally comes off cooldown like twice a second, so just spam this. Nothing else, like this is the most important. Always keep spamming Lightning Spear. Then Teleport. You want to teleport at least once every 3 seconds to keep your 30% damage reduction up. Actually, it's 4 seconds. Flame Shield. In Infernal Hordes, I mainly use it to dodge the Aether Fiend's attacks. So there's like 2 of them which are dangerous. One is alright, but the dangerous one is like the fire one. He shoots like so 3 firebolts which do insane damage, and he has like a kind of a meteor calling ability. So that one spawns from the what is it called, Etheric Mass or whatever it's called. I don't even remember how the mob is called, but you're gonna figure that out obviously. Unstable Currents, you want to pop that on cooldown, so you should have roughly 100% uptime. My cooldown is not as good. I'm at 38 seconds because I don't play cooldown reduction on my focus. If I remaster work my Tal Rasha ring, this will go down to like 32 seconds, and then it's going to be 100% uptime. So Frozen Orb, always spam Frozen Orb. Obviously, it spawns by far the most amount of lightning spears. And then we have ice armor here, so for the boss damage, but also this is our main barrier defensive layer here. And then enchantments, Frozen Orb enchantment and Firebolt enchantment are pretty much not debatable at this point. Alright, let's go over the gear and legendary aspects. So, first of all, we're gonna play the Shaco here. You wanna hit 2 times cooldown reduction. If you're like very lucky, you hit it 3 times, but 2 times is enough. Obviously, you don't want to hit the max armor. You can just hit the maximum life as a second one. But you know, this is pretty much alright. Then for the Tyrael's Might, I still have to remaster work this one. You want to hit damage reduction 3 times. Pretty much simple as that. Obviously, try to aim for 2 times. The third one is bonus, so I really wouldn't like sweat the third hit there. Then for our gloves, we play the Frozen Orbit, and you need a greater FX attack speed with 2 crits here. The third one doesn't really matter if it's core skills or critical strike damage. You don't want to have core skills here, by the way. You obviously want to have ranks to Frozen Orb, but I just don't have it at this point. And for the tempering, you go for a crowd control and critical strike damage. Then for our pants, we want to have greater FX intelligence, greater FX max life. I didn't enchant this yet, so you want to put dodge on this as third, because you know life per second is completely useless. Pretty much everything you can get on here is completely useless other than dodge percent, pretty much. And I'm tempering here another chance to do crowd control. And I'm actually doing warms here because, you know, I could get like another 1,000 life on this. But I feel like the resource generation, the health regeneration versus bosses really helps a lot. So that's why I used that temper here. And we put the orange Herald on here. Here's a side note. If you have crazy cooldown reduction, like you have triple cooldown reduction Shaco, greater FXs, cooldown reduction somewhere, triple cooldown reduction on your Rasha ring, at some point you can remove Orange Herald. I'm not there yet where I can remove Orange Herald, but it is definitely possible to remove this, and then you could, for example, replace this for T-Board's Will. Then for your boots, you want to have Asus boots with as close to 40% as possible. The only master working here counts on crit damage, and greater FX crit damage is obviously a nice to have here. For our weapon, please ignore that weapon type. I screwed up. I didn't notice that there's actually 1.1 attacks per second one-handed weapons. So you want to have a 1.2 attacks per second one-handed weapon. So either a wand or a sword or a dagger. Doesn't really matter at all. So we want to have intelligence, maximum life, critical strike damage. We want a double crit Frozen Orb chance to cast twice. Ideally, we want to triple crit it. And we want to temper critical strike damage and put on the Storm Swell aspect. Then for our focus, same story, we want to have int, greater FX critical strike chance with at least 1 crit. Well, pretty much exactly 1 crit is the best. And then you want to have 1 or 2 crits on chance of Frozen Orb. So you want to get as close to 100% chance for Frozen Orb as possible. So the optimal scenario, you have 5 crits chance for Frozen Orbs on your weapons, and you have 1 greater FX crit with 1 crit masterwork on it on your focus. And we put the Splintering energy aspect on here. And the second temper is, of course, critical strike damage. Then for our Rasha ring, we want to hit cooldown reduction, and cooldown reduction. So this one, I have to remaster work it, but I want to buy one with a greater FX. So if you have the money, buy one with a greater FX cooldown reduction and master work at least twice on cooldown reduction. And obviously you want to get as close to 20% here as possible. Then for your Starless, guys, you need to hit attack speed twice here. That's important, so you get the breakpoint. So really get attack speed twice, and the other one, crit is nice, but, you know, if you hit something else, don't sweat it. And then last but not least, for our Winterglass, I also have to remaster work this one. So you want to hit Conjuration cooldowns are reduced by 0.5 seconds. You want to hit that once, and you want to hit Conjuration Mastery twice, ideally. So important for this build, there's breakpoints. So really there's just 2 breakpoints we have here. And the first one is going to be the attack speed bonus. So the breakpoint here is exactly at 104.9. So if we add the Elixir of Advantage, well, let's start here. So we have 64.9% attack speed. That's exactly what we get from Paragon Board, from the double crit on the greater FX here, and from the double crit on the greater FX on the Starless Sky. So then we add the Elixir of Advantage, we go to 79.9. And then with unstable currents, we're exactly at 104.9. And that is exactly the 21 frames breakpoint. Okay, so very important here. Breakpoint 104.9% attack speed. And the second one is simply critical strike chance. You want to get as close as possible to 100%. With this setup, I have 74.2, and as soon as I dash, like with Asus, or you're going to have 100% movement speed all the time, right? So I go to 93.2. If you have perfect Asus, that would be 94.2. So I decided not to put crit chance on my gloves, but to put critical strike damage. If you want to put 100% crit, you could also put like a regular crit on here, or like a regular crit on here, so you can balance it out. But I feel like with the setup we're having here, the 93.2% crit is a pretty solid value. For the Paragon board, we removed almost all damage reduction. We have enough damage reduction now on our gear with our Uber Uniques and from our skill tree, so I feel like we don't really need the damage reduction in Paragon anymore. It plays just fine without, and so we play an 8 glyph Paragon now. So first of all, we're gonna go for the Tactician glyph here. We really don't care all about the non-physical damage. It's really just about the 10% multiplier, so we really just want to get as many multipliers from our Paragon board as possible. And then we move to Enchantment Master. We just pass through this board with Elementalist here again, just for the multiplier. We go to the next board, which is the Elemental Summoner. I don't even know if this node buffs the Lightning Spear damage or not. I'm sure it actually does not, so you could probably remove these 2 points even. And we go for the Conjurer Glyph here. We need the 20% extra duration on Lightning Spears. That is also not debatable. And then we pick up the attack speed here. That is very important for us to hit the attack speed breakpoints. So then next board is going to be Burning Instinct. We basically just slot in a 49 Dexterity Destruction Glyph here. Critical strike damage is our main scaling factor with our Lightning Spears. And we pick up this nice little 10% damage reduction here. Then next board, we're going to have the Frigid Fate, so we're going to pick up the damage bonus here. We're going to pick up this little bit of damage reduction here still, and we slot in our Charge Glyph here for another 15% multiplier after picking up Crackling Energy. And then next board, we're going to have the Ceaseless Conduit. This is just a pass-through board here for my Flame Feeder, which is, again, a 10% extra damage here. And then next board is going to be Searing Heat. Again, just a pass-through board. We pass through here with the Control Glyph for another 10 to 20% versus crowd-controlled enemies. And last but not least, we have the Icefall board here. I still have to figure out if Icefall is beneficial, or if we could potentially even go to a 9 glyph board. But I don't really see a reason for getting a 9 glyph, honestly. So not sure. This also, you could remove this and get damage reduction and life if you really want. I think this is not so important, but I'm still playing it at this point. And then last but not least, I play the Exploit Glyph for another 10% multiplier here.